Hey, what's up, everyone? My name is David, and I am currently doing a project where I make an album in 30 days, and then I make videos about how I'm doing that. And I'm a little bit behind because I took the weekend off to do some partying and gambling and a little bit more partying. And so now it's Monday, and I'm back in the studio. It's the evening time, and I'm ready to get to work. But judging by my schedule and what I was hoping to have done and what I do have done, I'm a little behind. But I could either cry a salty tear and give up, or I can just be determined to double down and work a little bit harder and get this done. But I figured, what can I talk about today? Because I have a lot of mixes that are in the works that sound crappy, that I don't really want to share with the world until I do the little massaging and the nice things that make them sound a little bit better. So, what can I talk about today that would be beneficial to all of you out there watching on the internet? And I think I want to talk about the difference between MIDI and audio. You see, MIDI is usually triggering samples, or it's often triggering a synth as well. And that's what I'll use for the drums on this album. I will be using all sample drums or perhaps some synth drums, but that's okay. I mean, I think that a real drummer might be better, but a real drummer is a pain in the ass to record. And I do have a room and I'm capable of recording a real drummer, and I have a drum set here, but it is a pain in the ass. And since I'm going for speed, I think I will officially go for sample drums throughout the whole album. And those could be either organic sounding drums, like a drum set that I'll fire up in Contact or Groove Agent, or more 808 style digital drums, which I'll also fire up in either Contact or Groove Agent. And I will go from there to do all my drum sequencing. And it's not that big a deal. Using samples is fine, and you hear samples on every single modern recording, even if there's a real drummer involved, because samples sound awesome. They were recorded in a pristine environment, and it's difficult to get that if you're recording someone playing a drum set. That being said, a real drummer is awesome, and I would love to have a real drummer. I'd love to be able to set up my drum set in here and do that stuff. But I just feel like, for the interest of speed, and since I'm already behind, I'll be using samples throughout this process. Now, here's the thing with recording audio. Now, you could record drums audio, but I'll be using samples. I've been recording all my guitars, all the bass guitars, the ukulele, everything like that is all audio. I'll be doing some Indian flute stuff, I think, later in the album. That's audio as well. Now, audio is great, but it is much harder to mix. Now, if I choose sounds from a sample library, they're going to sound pristine. They're going to sound perfect. They're going to sound like they were recorded in a $1 million studio, because they were. The sample libraries I use are recording engineers recording perfect sounding samples of instruments, and I can just dial them up here on my MIDI keyboard and do whatever I want. But if you sequence only in MIDI, I think that you lose a little bit of the humanity. So I'm trying to do a lot of compositions that are guitar based, a lot of compositions that use a real bass guitar, and a lot of compositions that use other acoustic instruments that I know how to play, just to make the album have a little bit more humanity. And I think that I could just, fire up the MIDI controller and throw in patterns and sequence out some stuff and poop it out in 15 minutes and call that my album. But I want to go a little bit further. I want to do audio, and I want to mix. So I guess my takeaway is MIDI and triggering samples and using synths is awesome. And it's going to sound professional because the samples that you're using are most likely recorded in a professional environment. Now, how you choose to manipulate those, how you choose to compose, and how you choose to sequence is the name of the game. Now, with audio, there's more of an engineering aspect involved. You have to be very conscientious about where you set up your mics, how you set up your mics, what instruments you use, making sure that they're in tune, recording them the right way at the right gain level on your preamps, or the right, processing on the back end to get them to sound good in a mix. And that does take a lot of skill, where it would be easier just to drop in MIDI samples. But I think the real benefit of using audio is that you get a performance on an instrument that you couldn't otherwise get. I can't play guitar and have it sound like me playing the MIDI keyboard, or I can't play MIDI keyboard and have it sound like me playing the guitar, because I'm more practice at the guitar, more polished, and I have my own vibrato, and I can tell a story with that instrument better than I can with a keyboard trying to be a rough facsimile of a guitar. But there's a lot of instruments that I don't know how to play that I can easily fire up on the keyboard and just go for. So the thing is that audio and MIDI are both essential components of the recording process, but I'm trying to use as much audio as possible while admitting wholeheartedly that I am going to sequence all of my drums with MIDI for this entire album. And I don't think that you should be afraid of either one. Sequencing things in MIDI or recording audio, whatever you can do, just do it. Decide what's right for you and go from there. That is my word of advice for today. I'll be back tomorrow, day 8, and I may have some mixes to play for you all. So stay tuned, everyone, and thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you want to see me discuss something in Cubase or discuss something in terms of audio engineering that I've been doing with this album, and I'll try to get to it. So for now, bye-bye.